much, Barbara. Well, on behalf of Jean-Marc Fandel and myself as members of the ILA Startup and Scale Up Committee, I would like to welcome you all, and in particular our speakers, Bob Kneip and Maxime Delamay this morning. And before we launch into it all, I'll give you a few introductions. Bob Kneip is regularly ranked amongst Luxembourg's most influential economic figures. He has 3 decades of direct experience on how boards, investors, and regulations can shape a company's growth. In 1993, Bob founded the Kneip Group. Its purpose was to help asset management companies with their fund data and regulatory reporting. Over 2 decades under his leadership and integrating digital solutions, Kneip grew to lead the fund industry by increasing overall efficiency, transparency, and ease of use. In 2022, Bob sold Kneip to the Deutsche Börse. He continues to sit on boards of major family groups and charities. So welcome, Bob, and we look forward to getting your insights. Maxime Delamay is a Belgian chemist and material scientist. He's the CEO and founder of AM4AM. Interesting name, I'll be interested to find out why it's called that. Anyway, AM4AM uses its cold plasma platform to create high-performance metal powders and products to serve clients in aerospace, defense, and advanced manufacturing sectors. AM4AM's goal is to create materials that shape the future while making 3D printing more efficient, resilient, and environmentally responsible. AM4AM is based in Fürth and backed by the Luxembourg Space Sector Development Fund and EIT Raw Materials. The company recently raised 1.3 million in its seed round, and welcome, Maxime, great to have you with us. Jean-Marc Fandel is an experienced non-executive director and board advisor. He works throughout Europe to help founders and CEOs turn their companies into scalable, investable, and sellable businesses. He draws on Vern Harnish's scale-up framework and his own history as an entrepreneur as a CEO. Jean-Marc holds a PhD in economics and is a certified director by ILA and INSEAD. I am Jaz Madher, and if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it says, I write, I run projects, and talk to people. And after 30 years of software and systems development work around North America, Western Europe, and the Middle East, I've managed to pick up some scars. I particularly like specializing in business change, project governance, and operational efficiency. I find it a pleasure to work with visionary people and inspired teams that are trying to make a difference. Okay, as a context for this morning's talk, we have the thesis as supporters of startups and scale-ups that they are high energy engines for ideas and innovation. And if properly nurtured, that they can actually have a great potential to contribute to societal well-being and create spin-offs for economic growth. We also believe that governance streamlines decision-making while bringing the virtues of accountability, trust, and transparency. It has to be applied in appropriate measures, and it's essential for maturing and sustaining a company. However, we also recognize that the life of an entrepreneur is hectic, and governance is often seen as burdensome, unwanted, and an overhead. So the purpose of the coffee chat today is to talk to you about to the speakers, to talk to you about your experience with governance boards and non-executive directors, and to assess to what extent they serve as an accelerator or as an impediment to developing and growing your organization. So I'll now turn over to my friend Jean-Marc for more specific questions. Thank you. Jean-Marc?
Thank you, Jess. Thank you. And good morning, everyone. Morning, Bob. Morning, Maxime. I hope you have your coffee with you. It's a coffee chat. Okay. So excellent. And well, thank you, Jess, for these introductions to the coffee chat. And hey, great to see so many participants and also so many names that we know. So That's cool. Hey, let's get going. And one of the places to start such a chat, I think, is the beginning. Starting at the beginning is not a bad idea. So actually, I was wondering because governance is rarely on the founder's mind at first. How did you come across governance? How did it begin? How did it enter, or when did it enter your world? Question to you both as founders. Maybe Bob, if you would like to start.
Yes, thank you, Jean-Marc. Good morning. Um, the governance and board composition and value added of the board is something that I always built in very consciously. Before starting my company, I was fortunate to work for large groups, namely Sodexo, with very strong corporate governance guidelines and principles. And so for me, it was quite natural to set it to build these considerations into the well, consciency into the vision of the company and the business plan from the outset.
Okay. Okay. So it's a very natural move on your side. Maxime, was it also that natural on your side? You dropped out of bed and you said, "Well, we're going to create a company and we are going to have a board."
That's nearly it.
Really?
It was not as natural as for Bob. Basically, I completed my PhD in 2018 at Luxembourg City of Science and Technology, and I had the idea of my company a couple of months ago. After, sorry, and 1 year after, I was creating the company, incorporating it, and so I was more looking at how to make things that really having something for governance. And so it was not natural at all. I think what gave me the impulsion was the Fit for Start program. That was really important for us. And basically, the first kind of governance things was an advisory board that has been created just after. And one of the mentor we had during the Fit for Start program was like the central part. And so it is thanks to this program that we have been thinking about it. But it was not natural at all, as Bob said.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So, with some hindsight that you have, um, when is the right moment actually to start shaping the governance? Do you have any input on that side? Any strong views on that? When should startups start thinking about having a board, an advisory board, or whatever? What would you say, Maxime?
So let's if we are talking a little bit just maybe before the advisory board, I think when you have a great idea or an idea that you think is great, sharing is part of the way. Sharing is most important. At the beginning, I was afraid, to be honest. I was writing a patent on the idea, and I was afraid to share. And once I deposited a patent, I was a little bit more keen to share my idea. And I think the more you share, it's not the more you will be stolen. It's the more the people hear of it, and then they get together. And yeah, basically the first advisory board were people that raised interest in the things, but would not invested in it because it was too early. But I said, yeah, look, I give you the opportunity to be in the advisory board. It will be mutual, let's say, beneficial. And this is how we started. It started really with something simple, no remuneration, just do you want
Okay.
to be part of an incredible story that starts now?
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, good, good. Uh, Bob, and any strong views on when is the right moment to get really structured on governance? now with hindsight? We know now your personal story, but what are you thinking today?
Well, you know, when you start up a company or you're a founder, it's damn lonely out there. And it's
Mhm.
always good to have people that you can trust who don't have a true vested interest in the company or more benevolent to assist you in your reflection. I think to what Maxime said, you know, you have doubts, you're afraid, you don't know how to go about things. So it's useful to have people who can keep you, first of all, your mindset, your focus. You focus on product, customers, day-to-day stuff. And it's always useful to have somebody to help you step back and keep a helicopter view of what's going on, and also built in other components than the one that you see from a day-to-day perspective.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's interesting because it opens up the question on the expectations that you have from your directors. So, Bob, I hear you saying that they have to add a different angle. With that in mind, Maxime, how do you what are your expectations? You're in a highly technical business. Um, so how do you integrate your board members into this, and what are your expectations then from them?
Yeah, clearly my expectation is not on the engineering side. Because and I think it was one of the first thing that they said to me. It was like, you're the engineer, we are not, so we trust you. But we are there to grow the business with you. And so it was more completing the skills that I have, more business related, more vision, relation, market driven, etc. And so it completed the vision, the engineering. So we are in board, and that's funny that the chat is happening today because I have a board meeting at 2 this afternoon. So it's a good moment.
Okay.
And we will not talk at any moment about engineering. We will talk about customer, we will talk about vision, we will talk about how to make it grow at the HR level. So it's more guiding us um, in the growth of the company, but not at the engineering level. And I'm not expecting that. You know, I'm not expecting someone challenging me on the engineering, on the engineering side. And I have the chance that my board currently is quite diverse. So we have a former Ministry of Economy. We have a big satellite company that everyone knows in Luxembourg. EIT raw materials, yeah. I don't want to cite, but everyone knows it.
Okay.
And so it's really diverse, and I love to have different point of view because I think it's what makes people grow.
Hmm. Okay. So this is more on the customer side, on the HR level, you're saying. Yeah. What about strategy? Because that is pretty linked to the technology. So there are things that you can do because of technology you can't. How does that factor in? How does that come together?
Yeah, it is. It is. For the strategy is something we are discussing together, and especially as we are now a lot moving to defense, a lot of strategy and vision and planification has to be decided. And this is something we have. Me and my partner have a clear vision on it,
Yeah.
but we always wanted to have a double check because it's quite sensitive
Yeah.
and yeah, it is something we are discussing every time.
Okay. So kind of a double check. Yeah. Keep me,
Yeah,
yeah, keep me as a founder, keep me um serene, keep me clear on the ideas. Bob, today you're sitting on a number of boards. Where do you see the real added value of a non-exec director?
hmm I believe, from the outset, you don't immediately see the number, the quantity, and the quality of all the stakeholders that you have to deal with in a company. And what I was consciously trying to avoid is to be my own company's bottleneck. So to stay open and to be able to address as many topics as possible, and then also finding out that strategy is a tough exercise. You determine the nature and the destiny of your company. That's what it's all about. Now, if you're stuck in front of your desk or in front of your computer, it's quite unlikely that you see what's going on in the world. So I see these board members and this approach as an eye-opener on one side, so for me not to be the bottleneck, and on the other side to help me be focused. Because I believe, especially from the outset, when you start the company, I believe on a strong focus, because otherwise it goes into all directions. And there's one thing that you often forget. It would be good to have a new service, a new product, but you forget to sell what you have. And at the end of the day, it's the money coming in that will determine the success of the company or not.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for these ideas. Double checker, eye opener, keeping you honest, keeping your eyes on the target. So let's switch to the composition of the board. Maxime already indicated the kind of people he has on the board. Um, how do you think about composition of a board? Um, What qualities must these people bring? What qualities matter? And is there, in the life cycle of a company, is there a difference? Is there a difference to people that you bring in at the beginning or as you grow? Um, how does that, how do you think about that? Bob, do you have an idea on this?
You're asking many questions at once. You have
Sorry.
the startup, you have the founding, you have the evolution, and you have perhaps even the exit. And I
Yeah,
believe that every phase in the life of the company requires specific skills. And those are the ones that you want to have at board level. So from my side, from the outset, I was more looking for people that I would trust. And I use this word benevolent. I don't know if that exists in bienveillant in French, who
yeah,
don't have any vested interest, no capital involvement. They're just there to help you grow the company. That's their prime objective. They're not looking at their own skin in the game. So that was one of the things that I was looking at. And then people that had, in my case, real business experience in regulated industries, wherever they were. So to help me keep the focus and help my customers stay out of trouble. Okay, so I mean, that was one of the things that I was looking at. I was also looking for people who already had scaled companies, because
yeah,
growing a company or just keeping a company flat are two different approaches. And um, and then there's something, I don't know how I would describe it. People who challenge you respectfully.
hmm,
Okay, because all too often boards are perceived as something annoying, not being really involved, and just treating you from the outset. And that's where I think that boards should be a trusted partners with whom you can exchange, uh, um, help you stay focused on the business, and still be an eye opener on what's going on in the
yeah,
world.
yeah. Thank you, Bob. That's really so interesting because I think there's a lot of discussion about, do you have to take people from a legal background, from a finance side, from an HR side on the board, whereas actually you're saying, hey, I need people that challenge me respectfully, that have an experience in scaling companies. So these are the people that you're looking for, depending on the stage of the company. But this is the constant. Uh, Maxime, how did you go about the composition of the board? Whom did you call to your board?
So I like what Bob said about the evolution. It really started with people I knew and with really diverse people. We started with one engineer, one guy. I'm sure you may know David De Terme. Is kind of creating a mentorship company right now. and Michel de Taille, former president of FEDIL. This was the first advisory that helped us, and yeah, I think that was good. They was not linked to the company at that moment, and they really helped to give their advice, give their vision, share. I learned a lot during these periods. And now it's more, yeah, you have investors that are there that want to make the most out of it, and that's completely okay, and we are all there for that. And I think it's quite changing. I haven't experienced any exit for now. Let's hope I can do this in the future. But I kind of agree with Bob that it has to change with the time, being more experienced. What I like so much with these kind of things is I'm always learning, and this is why I love so much entrepreneurship. Is I think I will never stop learning things, and having people from diverse origin, let's say, is always a plus. It's always a plus.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
perhaps I'd like to add a point that struck me now throughout various companies I'm on the board with. Founders, they sometimes think that the board is there to police or rubber stamp them, like all the time. And I think this is not true, and this shouldn't be the case. A board's job is to create more clarity, optionality, resilience. And I believe that a good board, and I'm getting back to what I said previously, should reduce the founder's loneliness when he's out there.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, a call to everyone here in the webinar. If some questions or if the answers trigger some reactions, please put it in the chat, and then we can work these questions in as we go along. So it's an open coffee chat. It's not only a coffee chat between us four, but it's open to everyone. Yeah, clarity, optionality. These are the things that that the board members should bring. And indeed, there is this perception of a blind spot that founders might have, that the company is there to control, or just to support. I mean, that's another dimension, and then it becomes the country club of the CEO or the founder, and then it's not very useful. So these are the two elements. And I was wondering, in as a non-executive director, where do you protect the team and where do you challenge the team or the themes? Where do you how would you go about this? If these two dimensions, where is it importance of the control, where's the importance of the support? So where do you protect and where do you challenge? And any ideas on that? Maxime, if you would like to take a first step.
I think Bob will be more tailored to answer this because I'm not non-executive director yet. What I can say is, how they position. It's the question you're asking, basically.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe my question was a little bit confusing, unless Bob, Bob, is it does it ring a bell with you? What are the themes where you say, hey, I have to protect the founders, the executive team, and what are the things where I really need to challenge them to really play that eye-opener role?
Yes, I believe there's a couple of guiding principles, that you will always want to apply, but every company and every founder is quite different. So I don't think that generically one size fits all. So it's a lot about adapting to the given situation and the markets, and if I had to find a couple of these overriding principles, it's to have people that founders have people around them who are not emotionally involved in the product. Because when you start something, you're so passionate about it that you seem to miss some very fundamental questions, like, for instance, cash management, like sales, like customer focus, like Ali, just basic governance principle that you just have to comply with from a legal perspective. It's not a question of wanting or not wanting to, you have to.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that I do quite appreciate and always focus on is transparency. Total transparency of what's going on in the shop, not only from a product perspective, but also from a people's perspective, because any business is a people's business. So it's as well the people inside the company as the one you partner outside of the company, to treat them with respect, building this team spirit consciously within respect and integrity. I would say something else that I've experienced more lately. It's also the concept of perseverance. You try something, it doesn't work from the outset. Well, okay, let's try more, let's try harder, let's try differently in order to achieve what we set ourselves to do.
Yeah.
Then there's something else that I have seen also, and it's only over the past, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years, is that founders, they speak all about the valuation of their company. And I never hear them talk about their customers, the clients. Who am I selling what to, and how much of what do I want to sell when? And what is the margin that I will achieve on what I am selling? They all talk about, oh, we're valued 100, and tomorrow it's going to be 200, and the day after it's going to be 300. I say, how in the world is this going to happen if you don't have customers and you have more money coming in than the one you spend?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's pretty good points. Yeah. Coming back to the one about total transparency and knowing that we are all only humans. Um, isn't there a danger that the more you open the door, the more people from the board will start not only putting the nose in the tent, but getting hands on, fingers in? Um, how do you manage this this dynamic? Or Maxime, did you experience that dynamic, or and how do you draw the borders? And yeah.
So I think we define this clearly what their role is. And yeah, it's clearly well defined. And for example, we talk about engineering. It's our stuff, and it will always be. At the foundation of the company, we are two PhDs, and I don't want to put my diploma in the table, but it in a way means something. And so this is a border they don't have to cross. And on all the other, we are asking for help. We are asking for advice. For example, the HR, legal, finance. Just I haven't presented myself properly, but it is basically my first job. I haven't done anything else before, so I have a lot to learn, and these are the topics I said. Okay, guys, I'm a newbies. Please help me, and it is well respected
Mhm.
without any problem. They are not crossing borders. And I, for now, for the board or the board of director or the advisory, I haven't to complain too much about it. It is well respected.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Well, let me come back then to or connect this to another point that you said before. Was Bob was saying that um, did I no skin in the game? You said, Bob. It's important that the directors do not have skin in the game. Did I catch that right?
Uh, no skin in the game. Often some of the board members that you use have already invested in the company. Okay, so there's that part, and I believe a good and sound. It's not because you're an investor that you have to be a board member. That's the first thing. You were speaking about non-executive directors. I believe he or she, in his head and his heart, should be independent and only have one thing in mind, is in a non-intrusive way. You know, as soon as the board touches day-to-day management matters, I'm always tempted to say, is this really the board's job? Ladies and gentlemen, are we really talking as a board, or are we getting involved into stuff that we actually shouldn't, and that we might want to challenge management with, and park this as a point that we will address during the next board meeting? And it's not that in each and every board meeting you have to answer all the questions simultaneously. You can park them, list them, but then make sure that you follow up on them. I think that's one of the things that we insist. It's the following a board or within a board, what is due to be discussed within the board, and then what is it that we want to take action upon, and we will receive reports at a later stage. It doesn't mean, in my opinion, that you just have to stick to board meetings. You can have short, informal touch points between meetings. You can get or give quick feedback when needed. And I think one of the key successes of companies, and specifically startups, is their capacity or their capability to adapt, and it is to support or even trigger this adaptation to an ever-changing world.
Jean-Marc,
Okay.
if I could jump in for a second here, Jazz.
Please do.
Yeah, this question about boundaries, you know, to what extent and who should be involved, from that's the board side, but from the advisor's side, what expectation can we expect from startups or even existing companies in terms of recognition through what sort of reimbursement, through shares, or what's your thinking on those lines?
So for us, how we manage it is that at the early beginning, I mean, for early stage startup, it was only pro bono because we were really too small at the beginning. And honestly, the people that took part in this first advisory board are still really happy to have helped the company come over. And now that we are a little bit more established, we are issuing shares for them on a contract over 2 or 3 years, let's say. And we are putting, let's say, a minimum hours dedicated to the company per month. So they have, for example, 2 hours per month to dedicate to the company. And it is useful because it gives a frame. And so this is all we do for now. I think it could be reviewed, and it's always evolutive. As Bob said, it could be changed. But this is how we're dealing with this right now. And I think it's worth it because, yeah, at the early stage, when it's nearly a golden ticket to scratch, it could be pro bono. When it starts to be more established, yeah, you have to provide compensation to the guys for providing hours of advice or something. And the best thing I think for startups that are always struggling with money is to issue shares. Then this is all we are doing in the company for the last 6 years.
Thank you. Jess, any follow-up on that one?
Well, perhaps there's also one point that I'd like to raise. It is obviously the time spent and the value they add to the business. There's also another aspect, is the liability and the responsibility of board members. They have they are responsible for a certain number of things that happen within the company. Now, if the company is not compliant, it is the board members that will have to stand up for it. So that also should be put into balance. And when we're speaking about the board composition and then the board remuneration, we should make sure that there is total alignment of interest. And again, I'm coming back to this transparency point. If the founder struggles with something, talk about it early stage to the board members, share it, because a shared piece of a difficulty, let's put it like this, a shared difficulty is already halfway solved. Sitting on it and expecting it to go away by itself never happens.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. I think that also gives an answer to the questions that were put in the comments. So thank you for raising questions, and hopefully we also providing some answers. And I think that the comments that were given now by Bob, they really answer these questions. Although there is one, and that is about when you have a company which is around, say, 20 people, and the question here is, what's the relationship between the head of growth or head of sales and non-executive directors? How can a positive reinforcement loop be created and avoid friction? Is that what does that question resonate with you? Or what is it that you think the question actually is?
What are you referring to? To the capability of the company to grow, and should that be board concern? Or I'm not sure I got your question.
It is about helping the and that's a comment that you made. It's the whoops. Now the question jumped. Sorry. The question is that in relation to the comment from Mr. Kneip, non-executive directors helping founders think of their customers and manage cash flow and sales. So how do you go about structuring the relationship between the head of sales and the non-executive directors? How to generate a positive reinforcement loop or avoid friction?
I think there's perhaps two remarks that I'd like to make in that respect. Some founders, I'm not saying all founders, but they would expect their board members to bring in business through their relationships, through their networks. It is said, oh, well, you should help us gain new clients. Yes, we can support this. The trigger has to be the founder and his head of sales. And in no event should these things be confused, because it is the founder, CEO, or head of sales who is responsible and in charge of sales. If he wants the support from one or more board members, he can seek it, but it will not be on the execution side that the board members should be involved. I think that's the first statement. And then relating to cash management growth client, the board members should be aware of what is going on in order to check, to have the balances and checks to see if the plan that management has provided or proposed to the board is achievable or not. And I think that's where we shouldn't then overly get involved into day-to-day sales ops or finance.
Thank you. Yes. Maxime, any reactions to that?
No, I think for us, there is no direct link. We are making the bonds between our sales team and the board member.
Yeah.
And I think Bob is totally right. It's up to us to ask something. I'm not expecting a board member to come and say, "Hey, I got business for you." It's more me and the team saying, "Oh, we have this guy in the board. Let's ask him if he can help." I think even for the board member, it is showing that the founders are moving and
Yeah.
not relying on them. And I think it's the way it should be, because if it's too static, for sure it would if the founder are too static, for sure it won't be a success. And so we have highly valuable board member in our board of director,
Yeah.
and but I think it's our duty to ask them something. And
Okay.
for example, so I can tell the name. We have Etienne Schneider in the board, former Ministry of Economy, and he's always saying, "Hey, I'm there. If you need something, I'm there." So
Yeah.
he's not proposing something, but he's there, and he's reliable. If we need something, we have Etienne, and we can ask. There is no problem. But I think it's the way it should work. It's basically the founder asking the board something if they need.
Yeah.
Not the opposite.
That's so precious. That's really great.
It is.
Thank you for this transparency. We are closing at 9:45-ish, something like that, because there are some meetings coming up. I heard there's a board meeting coming up. So let me get into one of my last questions. And you know that in the finance sector we like the stress tests, huh? And so my question would be a very simple one. Imagine that your board would disappear for 6 months. You wouldn't have any meeting for 6 months, no contact whatsoever. What would you miss? Or what would you not miss at all?
Well, first of all, the most important thing I would miss is to be exchanging with the people who are on my board, and I appreciate particularly. So it's the people's part that I might probably miss the most. And then just keeping me on my toes. According to what we have decided to invest in, the commercial projects, the investments that we were performing, just to make sure I'm on track. And so I have an active
Yeah.
exchange with my board members, and I try to be that active with other boards I am on. And it's not, our interactions are not limited to a board meeting. It's an ongoing thing.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Bob. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Jean-Marc, before we go, there's a question which has come up on the chat line. It's how do you feel a good governance structure has supported you in preparation of a sale, merger, or capital raise? To either Maxime or Bob.
I can kickstart this one. When there were two moments in the life of my company where I decided to open the capital to external investors. One was in 2007, and I was very fortunate there to have Marie-Jeanne Chevremont join as chairman of the board. And that was a decisive point because she had already gone through similar exercises. And eventually I bought back my shares 3 years later. And then again, 4 years ago, when we decided that it would be the right moment to open the capital to former investor, go through a liquidity event, whatever it would be, I was fortunate enough to have a friend and external board member to become chairman of the company. Why? Because we believe that within either a fundraising or a liquidity event or a sale of the company, that three entities should function totally separately. One being the shareholder, the other one the chairman of the board, and the third one the chief exec. So everybody could focus on his part of the job and not be caught while the CEO still focusing on day-to-day business and focusing on the business per se, and the chairman of the board organizing and interacting with the investment bankers, the due diligence, and everything that accompanies such an operation.
Thank you.
Maxime?
In our side, so we only live the fundraising, and they help in introducing people, framing things, Once again, in our former advisory and board of director, we have a lawyer. It was really precious. It was really, really precious in helping us. He spent a lot of time to guide us in this. And one thing that I want to add, sometimes the board member that you have is giving credibility to the company just because of their name. And so it is helping a lot just to say, okay, this guy is in the board or this company is in the board. Ah, okay. It means something at a certain point. And these are the two things. They are helping only with their names. That's true. Even if people don't want to hear this, that is true. And they are as well helping in introduction, in framing things, etc.
Yeah, I think sort of the constant mantra I use for startups is to say, yes, you need your product, yes, you need your market, yes, you need a vision, but also you need to have very strong governance or appropriate levels of governance so that you can win the trust and show a degree of credibility for people who are going to be relying on you for future returns. So I think if you're reinforcing that message, that's well received. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more because you could have the best product in the world. If
Yeah.
customers are not trusting you, they will not purchase anything from you. So the phase we are in now is only building trust to customers. And having a board with famous name is helping a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jean-Marc, I'm conscious of the time, so I'll return it to you.
Yes. So
There's perhaps one point I would like to raise because listening to Maxime, it reminded me of some stuff. When you've been managing your company for a startup 20 years, 25 years, there's also sometimes, how would you call it, a certain fatigue that's installed. And a board in those very specific moments to give you the energy and back you up, put you back onto the saddle is a very important point that is sometimes being underestimated.
Okay.
That is true and not mandatory after 15 years.
Hey, gentlemen, thank you for sharing your wisdom in this because this is much more than information. This is hard-won insight into how it actually works. And just a couple of sound bites to wrap this up, and that is, I think the sharing is part of the way is one absolute strong concept here, that it is about opening up, about having transparency, but not misusing this transparency. It is about putting that transparency into benevolent hands. And so it is really about the personal relationship, the relationship of trust that you have with your board members. And it's not just limited to boards. Bob pointed that out a couple of times, that this is an ongoing personal relationship first and foremost, where the board, well, if it happens once a quarter, once a month, is just a crystallization of something. But it's a much deeper thing here. It's not so much about compliance, about the formal board things that need to be there, but it's a personal journey basically that you are on. So please,
Jean-Marc,
yeah.
perhaps, and I think Maxime is going to like this, it's about chemistry. People.
That's true.
Yeah, chemistry, stickiness, etc. So, guys, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for participating in this. Um, as the working group of startups and scale-ups, well, we will have continuous communication around this topic. If you're interested, please reach out to Jazz, to me, to ILA, and we will be gladly take it from there. So
Yeah.
Okay.
thanks again, and wish everyone
Thank you,
it's
John.
Friday. It's Friday.
Jean-Marc.
So, yeah, thank God it's
Maxime,
Friday.
plaisir, courage, à bientôt.
It's
Bye.
more
Bye.
meeting for me.
Go for it.
Bye, guys.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.